Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulihil Kareem. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man istanna bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Yesterday we didn't able to take the talk about the journey of the Quran, so we are continuing the same topic today, inshallah ta'ala. And next before Ramadan, we have only 2 more days in the weekends, like next Saturday and Sunday. We will continue Surah Al-Baqarah, and inshallah ta'ala we'll finish it up. And inshallah after Ramadan, we'll do our Sirah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever we left, we stopped in the middle of the Battle of Tabuk. We had two classes, probably, 2 talks about the Battle of Tabuk, and inshallah we'll continue from there after the Ramadan. So let's begin today from the ayah 265 to 274. We're just going to go a quick recap. If you remember, the Juz number 3 started with the greatest ayah, not started with after 2 ayahs of that, like ayah 255, if you remember, we went through Ayatul Kursi. After Ayatul Kursi also we went through how Allah described that Allah is the wali of the believer, and Allah is not with the one who are believe in the Taghut. Taghut means like something that they disbelieve, something that they follow them. They are far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah is not taking them from the light to the darkness. Then also we had 3 examples, example from the past of the life of the prophets. We had 2 examples from Ibrahim alayhi salam. One of the example that Ibrahim alayhi salam, he with the interaction with the Namrud, and how he told Namrud that my Lord gives life and death. And then he said, if you are the true God, can you show how can you bring the sun from the east and from the west? And also we had the description of the wazir. Wazir, Allah made him to sleep for a long time, and then he wake up. So these all examples are related to the death and life, the power of Allah to give death and life. And then also another example of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that he wants to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, show me how you give life and death to the creature of yours. And Allah said, okay, take a bird, make it into pieces and call the birds again. The pieces will come together and they will be created alive by the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we did all these things, and after that we said that from ayah 261 onwards, this is the talk about money basically. The best thing that you can use for your money is to do sadaqah. So Allah is talking about all this ayah about the sadaqah. And the worst thing you can do, the way you earn money or give money, is the riba. So Allah talk about the riba. Inshallah ta'ala next weekend we'll talk about the riba, the ayah from 275. There are only 7 ayah explicitly about the riba and the harms of the riba and everything what Allah said in the Quran. And the last thing that the social thing to do, the middle thing about your money, the transaction that you do in your social life, either by the loan or giving money to someone. So all these 3 topics of money is described now, and at the end, the conclusion of the Surah Al-Baqarah in the last 3 ayah. So today we'll talk about from ayah Surah Al-Baqarah 265. In ayah number 264, if you remember, Allah give an example of those people who do sadaqah to show to people. So they just want to show off, or they give someone some money to help, but they remind them later on. They say, look, remember I give you this money, and they try to harm them with their favor basically. So in a time of argument or something, they bring that topic, like once upon a time I helped you, and now you're doing this. So they use their favor as a harm to that people, or they did a sadaqah to the show of people. And Allah give a beautiful example. What is they are like? They are like, there's a big rock. If you see the rock from the front, and on the top of the rock, there's a small greenery. You can see the small greenery from the far away. But whenever the heavy rain falls, that greenery get washed away. And the rock, the hard rock, it can be seen again. So their features are like that. So in the top you will say, oh, this guy is doing sadaqah and everything. But actually, when heavy rains, and heavy rains means here, when the time of difficulty comes or everything, they show their true color. So this ayah is Allah talking about the people of the opposite side. Allah is saying, the likeliness of those who spend their wealth in seeking Allah's pleasure. So Allah is giving an example. They are confirmed about the reward. Meaning their iman is so strong, doesn't matter what happens in this world, they know that they're going to get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, they confirmed. And also Allah is saying that their feature is a bit different. They had a garden. They are like a garden on top of the mountain, not on the middle ground, on top of the mountain. And when heavy rain falls, what happens when the heavy rains fall on the top of the mountain? It gets the enough amount of water rest of the water that comes from the top. Because if you think like this, whether this is a mountain and you have the top, the water won't stay there, water will come down. So they get enough amount of water, and this is how they are harvesting, their yield became double. And a lot of scholars have interpreted that, in the time of difficulty, in the time of the heavy rainfall, as Allah is mentioning here, in the time of difficulty, if you do your sadaqah, that's going to double up. That's why Allah says that their yield will be double. And also Allah says here, even if it has little rain, still they will suffice. Meaning, for the people, the fitna or the heavy rain, for the difficulty in their life also will be very little. People who do this thing, whose iman are so strong, their difficulties in this world, because they have the iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they know the calamities from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will be less also, and that will suffice them. And then Allah said, Wallahu bima ta'maluna khabir, ta'maluna basir. And in the Quran, if you see, it's like another point here, you will find sometimes you say Allahu khabirun bima ta'malun, or sometimes you will say Allahu basirun bima ta'malun. Sometimes you say Allahu bima ta'maluna basir, wa Allahu ya'maluna khabir. All these things. So sometimes it flips. The bima comes sometime before, sometime later on. Why it is that? If you notice, whenever Allah talked about in the ayah something about action, like your prayer, your zakah, or your sadaqah, anything that is related to action, Allah bring the action thing first. Here Allah says, Wallahu bima ta'maluna, meaning Allah knows everything. So the ta'maluna comes first. And whenever Allah talks about the matter of the heart, like ittaqullah, fear Allah, or iman, or something like this, then Allah bring His property before. Then Allah said, Allahu khabirun bima ta'malun, Allahu basirun bima ta'malun. So this is a small way to remember which ayah finished like this. This is a trick for the people who memorize the Quran, read through the Quran. They know this is how Allah swapped the bima ta'maluna, or something like this. It is very beautiful that Allah put it this way. Now the next ayah, Allah is still giving them the example, but this is an example of this dunya. Basically, Allah is saying here, look, if you have a garden in this world, meaning garden means here, if you have a successful business or house or job or whatever you have, this is a garden for you. This world is like you are successful in this world. And then what happened? All of it happened. The old age will strike you. Obviously, everybody is going to get old. And then your children are weak. Now, the scholars say the weak here means either the children are very small. In this example, Allah is saying that person who went to the old age, the children are very small at that time, or their iman is not strong as his iman. They're weak in iman. And at that time, what happened? He, in the garden that he made in this world, and it is not the literal garden, as I say, it is his achievement in this world, you can say, can be struck through a wind, and that can burn it. But why Allah is saying burn it means, then it will go away, it will not benefit you. That's what Allah means here. So there's nothing wrong, achieve something in this dunya. It doesn't mean here. But if your goal is to only for those achievements, you don't realize that you are going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is your ultimate destiny, then there is a problem, because you will be, involved in these things. There's nothing wrong, getting a good job, be successful, having a good house or whatever it is. But if that's your main goal, then it will be like this example, that it will be burned for it. And that Allah makes His ayah, Allah clear His sign for everybody and give, the people of the understanding. The next ayah Allah is saying another command from the Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. And if you realize, since ayah 254 up to 17 ayah or 16 ayah, Allah have said Ya ayyuhallazina amanu almost 3 times. So every time Allah is saying Allah Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, this is a direct command to the believer. These are the things that there's importance of sadaqah, how to do this, what not to do, not to show off, not to do this. They're all Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. And even when the topics of riba will come, Allah will say Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. So this is directly command for the believer. So Allah is saying, what He's saying, that when you give some sadaqah, try to give it from your halal income, and also try to give those things that is good for you also. Meaning what? Sometimes we see, this is very common, we look at our things, our clothes, we want to give something, donate something, and we find out that what is the worst thing we have. Oh, this shirt is very smelly, I'm not going to wear it anymore, just give it to masjid, no problem. And sometimes we see here also in our masjid, people put things that they cannot receive it. And exactly Allah is saying, look, you would not accept it, say, if you close your eyes. Meaning, if you are the receiver of this charity, if I give it to you, that thing, you will close your eyes and you can even look at it. It is so disgusting, it is so worthless, and this is what you are spending, this is what you are giving in donation. This is not right. And that's what Allah mentioning here. Allah is saying your earning should be halal, the way you earn halal, and give halal, that from your halal earning. And also, not only halal earning, the things that you are giving, make sure that is at least in a minimum standard. Or that is also that you should like. If someone give this to your charity, you will accept it with happily. So keep that in your mind. And also Allah is saying that this kind of thing happens. Why? Why people give this like thing? Because it's of the waswasa of the shaitan. Shaitan threatens you with the poverty. Meaning, shaitan is telling you that if you give good stuff from your thing, you will become poor. If you give good money to the masjid, you will become poor. Whatever you have the change coins, just put the coins on. Why you give to give a $5 or $10 bill? That's what Allah is saying. This is the waswasa of the shaitan. Shaitan, threatens you with poverty and orders you to commit fahsha. Fahsha here, as shamelessness, right? So what is the relationship between poverty and shamelessness here? What Allah is saying here, when you give shaitan chance, opportunity to control yourself, okay, shaitan is telling me to do that, and I am following the shaitan. Once he capture you once with these small things, then he will take you to the shamelessness. Because that's his ultimate goal. And we went through this kind of ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah before that, how shaitan desires people, and he is, adu mubin. He is the clear enemy of us. So then Allah is saying, whereas Allah's promise is a forgiveness from him. Shaitan promised you for poverty, but don't worry about that. Allah is promising you forgiveness from him, and also not only forgiveness and bounty from himself also, like other blessings in this world and akhirah. And Allah is sufficient of his creatures' need. Meaning Allah is sufficient who believes in him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayah number 269, and in last Friday, Sheikh Yusuf, he did a very good lecture, very beneficial lecture about the hikmah. And look at this ayah. He grants hikmah. Allah is the one who grants hikmah to whom he pleases. And then what Allah says? And he to whom hikmah is granted. So he who receives hikmah, the wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is abundant. It says kasiran. This is one of the greatest gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge is important, but it is more important to have the hikmah. As Sheikh Yusuf said, a lot of people has knowledge, but they don't know when to apply, what to think. It is a knowledge to know that if you touch the fire, it will burn your skin. But if you touch it with the knowledge, it's no problem. The wisdom is it is fire and it's going to burn you, and you stay far away from it. That is the wisdom. That is the small example like this. And there's a lot of things that can be said about the hikmah, but as Allah mentioned here very explicitly, the hikmah is something that is only that Allah wishes to give whoever He wishes to give, and only people of the understanding, they remember this. Meaning Allah is saying that when people gather knowledge, they think they had the hikmah, but it is not like that. Only people who understand this ayah, who remember this, the hikmah is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Arab at that time actually, they used to call hakim to those people who has knowledge and he implement that knowledge to himself. So he knows the something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or whatever, and he implement in his life first to show people. And that is the hikmah, that the wisdom of learning the knowledge. The next two ayahs, Allah saying, and whatever you spend for spendings and sadaqah, and make sure that Allah is, what Allah is saying here, your action, all are seen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is also Allah mentioned before that you don't need to tell people. Allah is reminding again and again, like when you do sadaqah, it is good that you don't tell people, you keep it to yourself, because Allah is, He's watching everything. He counts, He's Sariul Hasib. He can do everything that you are doing. But then Allah is saying, sometime you disclose your sadaqah, and it is well. Because sometimes it is necessary to show some sadaqah. Why? To encourage other people. You are sitting in a gathering in a place where there is no masjid or something, and some brothers gather together to build up a masjid for the first time in that area, asking for fundraising. So if you stand up your hand, okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to break the ice. I'm going to give $100 or $1,000, whatever it is. So other people say, okay, this brother is giving maybe something, so I will follow him. So this is just to encourage, but still Allah is saying, it is well, but if you conceal them, give them to the poor, that is better for you. So Allah is saying sometimes it is good to disclose your sadaqah, but better is to keep it to yourself, hide it, and keep it secret, and Allah is well acquainted with what you do. The next two ayah, Allah is saying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the guidance. Why guidance here? Because Allah is giving a lot of instruction about sadaqah. as we said, like, it's almost 10 ayah or 11 ayah so far. Allah is talking different types, different things that is related to sadaqah. And these are all guidance. Obviously, these are all guidance. How to do sadaqah, the example who people do show off, the example who really do sadaqah for fi sabilillah. All these examples are given. These are knowledge, these are guidance. But Allah is at the same time telling Rasulullah, look, this is guidance, but don't think you are the one who is in charge to teach all these ayahs to everybody. Don't think everybody is going to follow like this. Because guidance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're going to preach your dawah, you're going to preach the Quran, but remember also, not everybody will be guided. Not everybody will be guided. It is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who He wished to guide. And then He said, again He brings the spending, the sadaqah thing, when He spend, not except Allah's countenance. Meaning sometimes He said, this sentence actually, if you read it in the Arabic, it's a very strange one. Because you see, if you read the Arabic, wama yunfiku. Usually it says wama yunfikuna. But there's a noon is missing here. And then the next sentence, and the next line is wama yunfikina. So Allah is saying basically, sometimes we give a statement of fact with a command. So if I say, this board should not be touched, it's a statement. But what does it mean? It means, don't touch this board. So Allah is saying that, you spend only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, don't spend otherwise. If you want to spend something, make sure the reason to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's what Allah is saying here. And whatever you spend in good, it will be repaid in full. So Allah is reconfirming that, whatever you spend, inshallah ta'ala, Allah will give them in back, in this dunya or in akhirah with the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last thing is Allah saying here in ayah 273, Allah is saying there are people, there are different category of people, as you mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah, to do zakah. There are people who are able, who are the people, the category that you can do sadaqah for fi sabilillah. People who are fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people, the fuqara, they're learning the deen and spreading the deen. So Allah is talking about them. What is the matter with them? Allah is saying, look, there are people, they will never ask you money from them because they are so modest, they have knowledge and everything, they are in trouble, but they are not asking money from you, they don't beg to people. They don't say, I need money, like the other people. If other poor people, they ask for money because they don't have anything, so they ask. But these people, special people, they are learning the deen, they are the fuqara and everything, but they are saying, they are modest enough not to ask people. But you should know them. If you mix with these people, if you know their intention, if you know their akhlaq, you will automatically understand that, because of their modesty, they are not asking the money. But we should spend money for them also. As Allah is saying here, those are the people, you will know them by the mark of them, meaning their akhlaq, and by seeing their face or by attitude, they will never ask money. But if you spend your money for them, that is, spending money as if you're spending money fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last ayah for today, 274, this is the conclusion of this 14th ayah that Allah talked about the sadaqah. So Allah reconfirming everything here. At the end, Allah saying, those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah by night and day, in secret or public. So Allah is including everything here. So people who are doing, by secretly or, in public, whatever the amount they are doing, they shall have their reward with their Lord. So definitely they will get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on them shall be no fear and no grief. No fear and no grief. We in the very beginning of the surah, Allah said two qualities of the people in the first 5 ayah of the Surah Al-Baqarah. If you hudallil muttaqin, we know that the term muttaqin, and ulaika humul muflihun. So muttaqin and muflihun. And I think we had the quiz, the first quiz that we had this question. What are the two qualities that Allah mentioned? Muttaqin and muflihun. Muttaqin means one who protected, who protect himself. If you are protected, you have no fear. When do people fear? Of something that they don't have protection. I am fear of water. I don't want to go water because when I'm close to the water, I feel, because I don't know how to swim. So if I'm protected, I am in a good ship, or I have people around me who can, even if I fall, they can. So I'm protected now, and I have no fear. And when are people happy? People are happy when they are successful. Either they are successful by themselves, or they are happy with the success of their children, of their students, of their employee, whatever it is. And muflihun is successful. So Allah is saying they don't have fear. So fear is connected to muttaqin, and they don't have grief. They are not sad anymore. Why? Because they are muflihun. So this is how Allah tie these two qualities, and again and again in the surah, Allah brings this two quality again and again. The people who are following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they won't have any fear or any grief at the end of the day, and inshallah ta'ala they will be rewarded with the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah we'll finish it here. Jazakallahu khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.